Ever tried to simplify everything in a design only to end up confusing people more? I sure did. It cost my SaaS platform Zenclass hundreds of thousands of dollars in lost revenue and thousands of users. Surprised? We're not alone. Remember when Apple removed the ports from the MacBook, forcing us to live the dongle life? Or when they tried to simplify Safari tabs only to have users revolt? Oversimplification isn't just a little design quirk, it's a billion-dollar problem. Today we'll look at why helpful features can backfire and why microwaves, washing machines, and even Apple's most elegant devices still feel like modern puzzles. By the end, you'll see how chasing simplicity at all costs can be just as dangerous as letting complexity run wild. A few years ago, I was the design director for a SaaS platform called Zenclass. We thought fewer clicks meant happier users, so we merged sign-up and onboarding into a single seamless flow. On paper, it looked brilliant. Less friction, right? In reality, 45% of new visitors quit halfway according to our Mixpanel funnel data. Existing customers were forced into unnecessary screens, and revenue dropped by 25% in just 2 months. We lost hundreds of thousands of dollars before finally rolling back to a more familiar step-by-step process. Feedback interviews revealed that people wanted a quick sign-up and then a separate optional onboarding. Mashing the two together threw off everyone's mental model. Sometimes fewer clicks is meaningless if it disrupts what users already expect. This isn't just a software problem. Even everyday appliances have suffered from overcomplicated simplicity. So let's walk into the kitchen. Modern microwaves are loaded with buttons: pizza, defrost, popcorn, reheat. Yet, a 2019 consumer study by 20 and Friedman found that 82% of owners only use 2 commands: start and plus 30 seconds. Older models had simple dials for time and power level, but once microprocessors became cheap, manufacturers added features to look more advanced. Charles Arthur once observed that these digital interfaces rarely change. So even though new technologies appear, people still revert to the most basic settings. Historically, in the 60s and 70s, microwaves and washing machines were ultra basic. A knob, a start button, and that was it. But as electronics emerged, companies realized they could market more modes as a sign of innovation and charge higher prices. In Western markets, simplicity is often a selling point, but in certain Asian markets, complexity can signal status. A 2021 Euromonitor report even showed how LG's washers in South Korea often have many extra programs that would never appear in their European lines. This leads to a global juggling act: minimalism for some regions, feature abundance for others. That's the essence of feature fatigue, a phenomenon studied by John T. Gourville at Harvard. We often think more features means greater value. Yet a 2018 user testing survey found that over 60% of participants ignored the advanced presets on their new washers or microwaves, settling on the default because the rest was too complicated. That old blinking 1200 on a VCR. Same story. We don't have the patience to figure it out. Let's head to the laundry room. Modern washers might have labels like sportswear, anti-allergy, quick 15 delicate, plus temperature and spin speed settings. According to a 2020 Nielsen study, 70% of owners end up using just a normal or quick wash. Some even tape homemade instructions on the machine so they know which icons do what. That's a massive UX red flag. If users have to invent their own cheat sheet, something's off. One solution is to hide extra settings behind advanced menus, a practice known as progressive disclosure, championed by Don Norman and embraced in Google's material guidelines. But if you bury critical functions under too many layers, you still haven't solved complexity, you've just hidden it. The best approach is a simple default for 90% of tasks with a clearly labeled advanced option for power users. Smartphones do it all the time. Open the camera app and get a basic view, but tap a button for Pro Mode if you want manual ISO or RAW, but even big names slip. Apple removed ports from the MacBook to pursue minimalism, and it sparked countless complaints. They tried to simplify Safari's interface in 2021, blending tabs and address bars so thoroughly that users revolted, forcing Apple to offer an option to revert back. Removing a core feature doesn't remove complexity. It pushes that burden onto the user. Software evolves more quickly. In web design, we saw cluttered portals like Yahoo give way to Google's famously blank page. Mobile apps embrace minimal home screens but tucked advanced features behind sliders, side menus, or more buttons. It works because software can update rapidly while appliances sit in our homes unchanged for a decade. So how can designers do better, whether in apps or appliances? First, focus on real needs instead of adding features for marketing fluff. Make the core interface crystal clear, then hide the advanced stuff one level deeper. Use plain language instead of cryptic codes. Offer immediate feedback so users know exactly what's happening, like finishes at 7:45, rather than an obscure countdown. Standardize icons and terms so people don't have to constantly guess. And be sure to test your designs with real users, not just your in-house engineers. Ultimately, complexity isn't evil if it's handled properly. Oversimplification can wreck daily routines and break user expectations. My Zenclass fiasco showed that removing steps isn't always the same as removing friction. Apple's MacBook ports taught us that minimalism can be visually clean but functionally inconvenient. Every time you shift complexity to the user, you risk sabotaging the entire experience. And that brings us to the final insight. True simplicity is all about balancing minimal clutter with advanced functionality that's easy to find when you need it. When that balance is off, we either bombard people with too many choices or strip away essential features. Neither extreme works. The magic happens when your product feels familiar on the surface, yet remains powerful underneath. It might seem like digital interfaces are the perfect playground for quick experimentation, like a biological petri dish where best practices can multiply. Once we moved into the digital realm, researchers and practitioners built up a universal knowledge base of design that can guide us across hardware and software alike. Yet surprisingly, the very gurus of modern design, Apple, found themselves in a predicament when they failed to rein in a visionary whose revolutionary approach nearly capsized the company by refusing to switch from revolution to evolution at the right time. If you'd like to know more, don't miss our video, Apple's Design Decline, I've Seen It All, where we explore how one of the world's most celebrated designers almost shattered the very empire he helped create.